Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda, I need a motion to approve the August 9th, 2022 Planning Commission minutes.
So moved.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Or do we have a second since I had two that did the first?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
I'm abstaining.
Okay. All right, so that's 6-1.
Okay, we'll move on to staff report.
Can you hear me? Is it on? Yes. Okay. Sorry. I'm going to keep this one short. 54 residential permits. Once the final data gets entered into our system, it'll be 54. Construction's proceeding on a lot of the commercial stuff. You should see the Shamrock gas station actually open for business shortly. They got their liquor license last week. So now they've got to start loading the store and doing some cleanup around the property now that Keel was back. Should have a site plan coming for too long for the old Price Chopper building for some outside work on it, the interior work for is it CarQuest or Napa or Napa?
Napa.
Is going on. Now, attic storage is just about ready to start putting the second floor on. So we're making progress on a lot of the commercial stuff. Would anticipate some additional construction starting around the library with those two projects that you approved last year. They've both been fully approved. They're just waiting for either contractors to get free time to get in to start their work, or finishing up one project to move. The contractor is moving into this other one too. That's McBee's and then the Richardson Street Plaza. So if you have any questions, I can try to answer those. If not, that's all I have. It's not a seam, it is a has. And they are working to resolve the issue that's stopped them. So. Yep. We will, if it continues much longer, we will continue, or we will make contact with them related to code enforcement type issues.
We're not hearing the questions out here.
Sorry, I was asking about.
Is your button on?
I was asking about the row of townhomes, just right, near Maine, et cetera, and wondering if they had stalled out.
So, and did you hear the answer? That they in fact have stalled out and the contractor's working on a resolution, so.
Yes.
Yeah, similar to the Herzog cabins, got material problems sometimes.
Yeah.
And other things, right? So
Yes. No one signed up, but yeah, okay, there you go. This is a public hearing on the 413 winter. Oh, okay. Well, I can clarify when on staff report. If you saw the staff report, there are two buildings on one lot. One's a threeplex and one's a twoplex. Similar to what happened on North Main several weeks ago when we brought that forward. There were houses built that weren't supposed to be built in the zoning district at the time. This occurred in the 90s, right around the same time that the other one occurred. You have multifamily units installed or constructed on single family zoned lot. You have two buildings on it. So the proposed request to change the zoning is to get the zoning to match the use. which is R3. R3 and R1 are very commonly adjacent to each other. So that's the entire purpose of this, is to get the zoning to match the use that's been in place since 94, 95. Yes. Right.
Guys, we're not hearing any of the questions. We're just hearing the answers.
Sorry, I turned off my mic too. We're
Yeah,
doing the
please
public.
make sure you turn your mic on.
I'll just leave it on.
Yeah.
We're on item number 4, the public hearing now of the rezoning of 413 Winter Road. We didn't have anybody here from the public to provide public comment. Staff did provide us, and I'm sure you heard Jack's answer on that. We're just really doing house cleaning on the zoning from R1B to R3. Had a couple people here in the audience, but I don't believe they're going to have any questions. They were just here out of curiosity of what was really going to happen with this. So having said that, I'm going to go ahead and close the hearing for the rezoning of 413 Winter Road. Now we'll move on to item number 5, the actual rezoning of 413 Winter Road from R1B to R3. Do I have a motion and a second?
Make a motion, we change from R1 to R3.
I'll second it.
Are there, do we need to go through the findings of fact or?
No, and if you're fine, I'll kind of give it to clarify so that we don't get into the conditional use permit scenario we were in. You have a draft findings of fact and conclusions of law that staff has put together for you. If you agree with that, you can vote to approve the findings of fact, and that'll go to the Board of Aldermen as the findings of this committee with a recommendation of yes or no, however you do the recommendation. If the recommendation on this first vote is no, then we need to go through each of the 7 items and verify which ones are which. At this point, if there's anybody that wants to change any of these items, don't think the proposed fact is appropriate, you can make a motion now to amend. For example, I want to amend item 3. And I just picked 3, and it's probably the worst one to pick for an example, but if you wanted to amend that, for example, and say, no, it's not completely valid, that would be an appropriate motion. You'd need to get a motion, a second, and then it would be voted on to change it as the motion reads. If it doesn't pass, it stays the same. If it does pass, it changes. Most of this stuff's procedural. I know it can get a little discombobulated, but
I know we had a first and a second, so again, I will ask on the finding of facts. Is everybody okay with those, or is there any one of the 9, I guess, that you would like to discuss?
seeing none.
I don't see any, so we will move on
To the call the vote.
to have Randy.
Okay, Mayor Boley,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Deb,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Billy,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
Alderman Chevalier.
Aye.
7-0.
This will be going to the Board of Aldermen on the September 20th meeting for approval. I don't, the neighbors are gone, and the applicant has already had conversations with me and the mayor. They would like to have it put on 2 readings at the next meeting. We'll see how that goes, but it will be placed as an emergency ordinance with the mayor's approval. There we go. That's it.
I'll move on to item number 6, which is another public hearing. So I'll open a public hearing on rezoning 1103 South Commercial from B2 to B3. And I'll ask staff first to kind of do an overview.
Sure. This property is the former Catholic church that's now the Our Savior Lutheran School. And they have a long piece of property with a lot of 92 highway frontage. And they have a entity that's attempting to buy the backside of it for a very specific use related to the school, and that use would be to put a bus barn scenario in so they can have it on their property. Because it's not officially a school function, it's not education related, it requires to be zoned. The only zoning that would allow that type of use is B3. B2 is more of an office scenario. The corner to the west is all B3. The property to the south and west is B3, and then it's A1 on the other corner. So it's kind of fits in with the general character of the neighborhood.
Do not believe we have anybody from the public.
Yeah, I'm not certain. We have one citizen on Zoom. I'm not certain what he's here for. It doesn't have a name anymore. Are you here? Is it Mosque?
I'm Keegan Amos with Davidson Architectural Engineering. I'm here
Oh.
for the Heritage Track.
Okay. Then no, we don't have any of them here.
Okay. Then seeing no members of the public, I will close the hearing. We'll move on to item number 7. I have a first and a second on the rezoning of 1103 South Commercial from B2 to B3.
And again, same scenario, findings.
Motion approved.
Second,
And again, like Jack was saying, we have the findings of facts. I don't know if anybody wants to address any of items 1 through 9 for any amendments.
I just have a question.
Okay.
I just remember when, first coming on board as alderman, Stonebridge reached out multiple times, complaining about the school district and water drainage. Have we heard, has anything else happened with that recently? Is anyone
Well,
concerned?
so
that
I've
this-
met with them a number of times. Yeah, so I've met with them a number of times. This project, as Jack said, since it's not a educational function, it does require them to submit stormwater plans and things like that. But Stonebridge still has not submitted to us anything from their engineers. We've met 4 or 5 times. They're supposed to provide some engineer drawings with us, but with this project, it is downhill from it, but they would have to have stormwater requirements met, just like any other development.
Yeah.
Jack, correct me if I'm wrong. on any of that.
Nope. No, you're 100% correct. This will require the stormwater study for the drainage basins, do the pre and post, just like anything else. If they have to put in a basin, they have to put in a basin and go from there. The school had to do that, even though on the school side, on the other side, we don't issue building permits, but we do issue water, sewer, storm, and traffic impact stuff. They did that, and the stormwater went through our review and was approved. It's a big drainage basin running right into one point.
So how's the traffic, or how are they gonna be bringing the buses in and out? Are they,
They're
because
So-
92 has limited access there, right?
Yeah,
They're gonna have to provide a traffic study and,
Yeah.
they're gonna put a bus barn on their other property anyway. This actually alleviates some of the pressure off of 92 that they were gonna put on by going out through the Horizon exit onto 92. So
they will access this
this
off
is a
of their
good,
south entrance, with a gated entrance that's there. That's the only point of access.
Yeah.
But when they bring the site plan for, here's the design, here's what we want it to look like, here's our stormwater, here's our traffic, that's when we will address that then. They have direct access. And to be quite frank, I don't think MoDOT would let them access any other point.
Yeah.
So,
and this is a rezoning. This isn't a site plan. This isn't any of those other things. We need to focus on, does the zoning match? And, being a good partner with the school district. I've requested this to go to a first and second so they can move forward with their things when it goes to the Board of Aldermen.
and I think the most important thing is we have a full bite of another apple on the traffic when it comes with site plan. So to the extent its only access point is going to be directly onto their entrance that goes, and how they get there, their traffic study will show that. But they've got the big road entrance from the south comes north off of 92, is where the only one that they'll be able to get. MoDOT won't let them
Yeah.
access anywhere else. They won't be able to afford it anyway. It's about 12, 15 foot drop as soon as you get out of the right of way anyway. So 15 foot of fill for a road access would be pretty substantial.
So
Yeah,
moving
big
along.
cutbacks.
Yes.
As far as rezoning goes of this
Yes.
property from B2 to B3, do I have any other questions or any concerns on the finding of facts? Seeing none, Brandy?
Okay, Alderman Chevalier.
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
Billy. Rob,
Aye.
Mayor Boley,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
and Deb.
Aye.
7-0.
Again, next week, two readings.
Moving on to item number 8, the site plan review, 1300 South 169 Highway Heritage Tractor Edition. Do I have a first and a second?
I'll make
Yeah.
a motion to approve site plan review, 1300 South 169 Highway.
Second.
Any discussion?
And FYI, there is one of the engineers here if you have any questions about the design. Yeah. If I may, staff has placed, I haven't had direct contact with, what's your name again? I'm sorry. Aaron, did you say?
Keegan Amos.
Ethan Amos. Okay. Okay. Mr. Amos, I have not had specific contact. I've been dealing with the Mr. Keegan on this.
Yeah,
and
no,
I had-
sorry. My name is Keegan Amos.
Egan?
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry.
okay. Well,
Speaker didn't pick
I
up too
I
well.
apologize. I have had
That's okay.
conversations with.
Happens all the time.
In any event, I had provided him with staff report last week. The building itself meets all of our general standards. The only issue that I wanted to bring up to them was that we would, staff's recommendation is based upon 5 small, low stature landscape areas at the corners of all their entrances and then on the south end of their property, simply to, if this would have been a brand new building coming in, we would have a substantial different layout of this and we wouldn't have, everything right up on the road. So we could get more of that low stat or vegetative stuff with trees, et cetera. There's no proper place for trees in this location. So we would recommend low stature, in, any kind of a plant clustered at those locations, something similar to what you see at the Quick Trip. They've got low stature stuff there.
Jack, is the purpose of that just beautification of 169?
Yes, to improve the overall look and to make it look a little less imposing on the public driving and pedestrians. And if,
I guess I'll talk to you after the fact on the follow-up email you did on the address.
yes, that was a typo, I apologize. Yeah, and just to clarify, the business address is 1300 South.
Okay.
And for some silly reason, on one document, I put 1407. That's wrong. It's 1300.
Okay.
Because if you look at the agenda, I got it right.
Okay.
The very first thing I write in the staff report, wrong. So I apologize for that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, to highlight the 1300 South is actually not set in accordance with our addressing guidelines. You want even numbers on the west side of the road and odd on the east side of the road. But this was set decades and decades ago. I mean, this came in what, 90? 89 or 90 when they first came in there. So it's been like that for 40 plus years now.
Again, I'd like to probably address that in a
Yeah.
different meeting
Okay, yeah.
on the mismatch of address.
Yeah.
As far as it goes for the site plan review, are there any other questions or comments? If not, I'll ask Brandy to take roll.
Okay, Billy,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
Alderman Chevalier, Mayor Boley,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Deb,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
7-0.
This will be on September 20th Board of Aldermen agenda as a resolution, assuming that they approve it. They will be able to submit, if they've already submitted building plans and were approved, they could literally get their permit on Wednesday, but until we get the actual building plans and get those reviewed and approved, they will be able to start construction after an approval by the board.
Moving on to item number 9, I'll open up a public hearing for zoning code amendment, outdoor storage regulations. I'll look at staff.
Yeah, if I went through and did my detailed drafting of it as we were proceeding. Went quicker than you thought, sir. You've already been reviewed and done. I went through it and made some slight liberties with the conversation points you all gave me at the last meeting on this. And as you can see in the draft, what the intent of each of them was, and how we got there where we're at. I think we've addressed all of your issues as it relates to storage, how it can happen outdoor, what kind of screening needs to be up. The industrial stuff is already in place, so we're good to go there. Not a significant change on any of that. So there is a procedure. Well, that's all there is on the public hearing part. So the rest of it's more procedural. We can deal with that if there's anybody else that wants to speak at the public hearing.
Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. We'll go to the zoning code amendment number 10. Do I have a first and a second?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Rob.
Okay, we'll open it up for discussion. And I think that Jack, here we have, like finding of facts, you have a statement of planning commission on outdoor storage code amendments, correct?
Yeah, and that's the procedural difference. When we're dealing with the textual change versus a district change, the zoning code requires slightly different findings. In this case, at the back of the staff report, and it's also included as an exhibit in the proposed ordinance, same thing, by the way, are statements. These is a draft statement that would meet the standards of the code. That these changes would be consistent with the intent and purpose of the zoning regulations in general. That the areas that would be most directly affected by these changes are commercially zoned. And properties for outdoor storage behind storage, it relates to just that. It's currently, you can't do this storage. Now you can do this with the storage screening. And the reason for the change is significant investment in commercial construction and the commercial development of the city, as well as the involving nature of these districts require us to relook at some of these things. That's why we're here. So in this case, that is your findings, for a lack of a better term, that we're looking at here. And then the text of the proposed changes, as you see in the ordinance itself. If you have any problems with those or discussion points on those, we can address those too. Sometimes it's reading these by themselves. If you're not reading things in paramateria, it kind of gets a little confusing, but everything's in a gigantic book. So some of these terms are specifically defined elsewhere. I can give you that information if you need it.
I would say I just kind of glanced over it, but in really reading it right now, on the first page of the ordinance under the 400.155B7, it doesn't make sense. I think there's some extra words in there. Or it needs to be reworded.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it should be Um,
I don't know if it should be
Yeah.
no outdoor
While the
storage.
bus can be deleted. While the bus, I don't know. But only when the business is open and only during daylight hours.
And then I think the next paragraph is kind of a little weird too. No outdoor storage except the display of merchandise for sale to the public or except outdoor storage.
Completely enclosed in proper storage screening. So if you just have it stored outside, you can't do it.
Or except outdoor storage. I mean, that doesn't,
Well, and maybe it's to take out
maybe take out or,
Yeah.
yeah.
no outdoor storage, 1, except the display of merchandise for sale to the public, and 2, except outdoor storage completely enclosed. So delete the or.
Yeah.
The goal is to have both of those conditions as exceptions. If you have it outside, it's got to be in storage screening, or it's got to be display of merchandise for sale to the public. Just to clarify, this one is on the B2 and B3 districts, so it would allow people to keep the products for display for sale out. And the specific reason would be Heritage Tractor, any of the car dealerships. If they're putting their wares out for display, they don't have to have it covered. They don't have to have it because it's not considered storage that would have to be behind a fence. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what happens if somebody's downtown, they're setting out chairs or something to be sold or something?
As long as is in the B4 district, it's the next one. If they're, and it's the same, basically. If they're displaying wares for sale to the public during business hours, or,
That take care of it.
yeah, and the reason is we don't want, with the downtown district, there's a lot of businesses that are right there on the sidewalk or whatever. And if they've got it for display, we have permits that we can issue for sidewalk cafes, but they can't leave it out overnight because that becomes theft and fall down and trip and injuries and all that.
The or in the previous one. And leaving the or in for B4.
And the next one too, it says the same thing.
I think
Yeah.
it needs to be removed in the
All of
second
them?
one. Mhm.
Yeah, the B4 district 400.170.B.8. It has an or in there. So that one's being deleted too.
While the bus is being deleted and 2 ors.
So do we need to,
Now it'll go to the,
that'd be fine.
yeah,
I
it'll
didn't
go
know
to
if
the
we had
Board
to
of Aldermen and I will clean it up. And if they catch another issue, they will make a motion there.
Are there any other comments, corrections, questions? If not, I will ask Brandy to take roll.
Okay, Rob, Billy,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
Alderman Chevalier,
Aye.
Deb,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Mayor Boley,
Abstain.
okay, so we have 6 ayes, no nays, and 1 abstain.
This will also be on the agenda for the 20th. And as of right now, it will only be first read. The second reading will be in October.
Seeing nothing else, do I have a first and a second to adjourn?
First.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, we are adjourned.
Yes. Yes. Well, ultimately, we have a bigger procedure associated with that.